Mewar, a kingdom etched in the very soul of Rajasthan. This wasn't just land, it was a testament to courage. For centuries, its people, the brave Rajputs, had stared down adversity. They had faced invaders from all corners, yet their spirit remained untamed, unbroken. The Sisodia dynasty, rulers of Mewar, were legendary. Their veins pulsed with the blood of warriors. They were guardians of a fierce independence. This was the heritage that awaited a young prince, a prince named Pratap. He would soon learn the harsh lessons of survival. Imagine the rugged Aravalli hills. These ancient mountains cradled Mewar. They provided a natural fortress, a sanctuary, but also a challenge. The sun beat down mercilessly. The terrain was unforgiving. Only the toughest could thrive here. The people of Mewar were as resilient as the landscape itself. They knew how to endure. They understood the price of freedom. Their stories were sung by bards, tales of heroism, tales of sacrifice. These were not mere legends. They were the lifeblood of this proud kingdom, a kingdom constantly on the brink. The air itself seemed to whisper tales of past glory. Of Chittorgarh, the magnificent fort, a symbol of Rajput defiance. It had witnessed countless battles, seen unimaginable bravery. It had also seen heartbreaking sorrow. The winds carried the echoes of Jahar, the ultimate sacrifice of women to protect their honor. This history was not just learned, it was lived, it was breathed. Every stone, every stream had a story of fighting for what you believe in, no matter the cost. This was the environment shaping future leaders. This was the legacy of Mewar, a legacy of never surrendering, of holding on to your principles, even when the entire world seemed against you. The Mughals, a vast and powerful empire, were expanding. Their shadow loomed large over Rajasthan. Many kingdoms had bowed, many had compromised, but Mewar stood tall, a beacon of resistance. This fierce independence came at a great price. Constant warfare, endless struggle. But for the Sisodias, freedom was worth any sacrifice. This was the world Pratap was born into, a world demanding everything. Young Pratap grew up in a world of heightened senses. Every sound, every shadow could mean danger. His childhood wasn't filled with idle games. It was an apprenticeship for survival. He heard the stories, not fairy tales, but true accounts of his ancestors. Men who chose death over dishonor, men who fought against overwhelming odds. He learned about Bappa Rawal, the legendary founder. He learned about Rana Sanga, the warrior king who challenged Babur. These weren't just names, they were inspirations, blueprints for a life of courage. The court of Mewar was a school of hard knocks. He saw the grim faces of generals. He heard the urgent whispers of spies. The threat from the Mughal Empire was ever present. It was a shadow that touched everyone. Pratap learned that leadership wasn't about comfort. It was about responsibility. It was about protecting your people, protecting your land, protecting your honor. These values were instilled in him, deep within his core. They became a part of his very being. He watched his father, Maharana Uday Singh, navigate treacherous political waters. Always under pressure, tales of Chittorgarh's sieges filled his young mind. He imagined the roar of cannons, the clash of swords, the unwavering spirit of the defenders. He learned about the sacrifices, the johars where women chose fire over capture. These were harsh lessons for a boy, but they forged an unbreakable resolve. He understood that freedom was precious, that it had to be defended with every drop of blood. This wasn't just patriotism, it was a sacred duty, a promise to those who came before, a promise to the land itself. Pratap didn't just hear stories. He lived the ethos. He roamed the Aravalli hills. He learned the ways of the Bil tribes, the original inhabitants of the region. They were master archers, experts in guerrilla warfare. They knew the secrets of the mountains. Pratap formed a bond with them, a bond of respect, a bond of trust. This connection would prove vital. He was learning more than just combat. He was learning to connect with his land. He was learning to lead all his people, not just the nobles. This early wisdom was crucial. The fall of Chittorgarh in 1568 was a devastating blow, a wound to the heart of Mewar. The mighty fort, once deemed impregnable, was now under Mughal control. Emperor Akbar's forces had overwhelmed the defenders. The sacrifice was immense, the grief profound. Maharana Uday Singh, Pratap's father, felt this loss deeply. He knew Mewar needed a new strategy, a new hope. Chittorgarh, for all its glory, was vulnerable. Its symbolic power was also its weakness. A new capital was needed, a place harder to reach, easier to defend. Uday Singh made a difficult but wise decision. He shifted the capital to a valley deep within the Aravalli range. He had already identified this strategic location years earlier. This new city was named Udaipur, after himself. It was surrounded by hills, protected by forests, fed by lakes. It was a natural fortress, a place where Mewar could regroup, a place where they could continue the fight. This wasn't an act of surrender. It was an act of strategic resilience, a determination to survive, to fight another day. Building Udaipur was a monumental task, especially in times of war. But the people of Mewar were resilient. They rallied behind their Maharana. They understood the necessity. Udaipur was more than just a new city, it was a symbol of defiance, a message to the Mughals. Mewar would not be extinguished, its spirit would live on, hidden in the embrace of the mountains. The location was carefully chosen, accessible through narrow passes, difficult for a large invading army to navigate, perfect for defense, perfect for a kingdom under siege. The move to Udaipur marked a new chapter for Mewar. It was a painful departure from Chittorgarh's hallowed grounds, but it was essential for survival. Pratap, now a young man, witnessed this transition. He saw the sorrow, but he also saw the determination, the unyielding spirit of his people. This experience further hardened his resolve. He understood that strongholds could fall, but the will to fight must never waver. Udaipur became the new heart of resistance. From here, the fight for Mewar's freedom would continue, for generations if need be. Pratap was not raised in luxury's lap. His upbringing was tough, demanding. He was trained from a young age in the art of warfare. This was the Rajput way. Every prince was a soldier first. He learned swordsmanship. His blade became an extension of his arm, swift, deadly, precise. He mastered archery. His arrows found their mark. Even in the most challenging conditions, he became an expert horseman, riding through the rugged terrain of the Aravallis as if born in the saddle. And these were not just skills, they were tools for survival. His training went beyond physical prowess. He learned strategy, tactics, how to lead men into battle, how to inspire loyalty. He studied the terrain. He understood the importance of knowing the land. The mountains were his allies, the forests, his cover. He learned from seasoned generals, men who had faced the Mughals, men who knew their enemy. He listened. He observed. He absorbed every lesson. He knew that one day the fate of Mewar would rest on his shoulders. He had to be ready. There was no room for error. Pratap possessed a natural charisma, a quiet strength that drew people to him. He wasn't aloof. He connected with the common soldiers. He ate with them. He trained with them. He understood their struggles. This built a bond of fierce loyalty. His men knew he would never ask them to do something he wouldn't do himself. He led by example. His courage was infectious, his determination unwavering. He was becoming more than just a prince. He was becoming a symbol of hope, a beacon for those who refused to bow. His leadership skills were evident early on. He could make quick decisions under pressure. He could inspire his troops to fight against the odds. He understood the art of guerrilla warfare, using the terrain to his advantage, striking hard, disappearing like the wind. These were the tactics of the underdog, the tactics of a survivor. Pratap was not just learning to fight, he was learning to outthink his enemies, to use every resource at his disposal. He was preparing for a lifelong struggle, a struggle for the soul of Mewar. He was becoming the warrior his people needed. Section 5. The Thorned Crown, Pratap's rise to a challenged throne. Maharana Uday Singh passed away in 1572. His death left a void and a question. Who would lead Mewar? Uday Singh, in his later years, had named Jagmal, Pratap's younger half-brother, as his successor. This was against the tradition of primogeniture, where the eldest son inherits. This decision caused turmoil, confusion. The nobles of Mewar were divided. Some supported Jagmal as per the late Maharana's wish. Others saw Pratap as the true heir, the one capable of facing the Mughal threat, the one with the heart of a lion. This was a critical moment for Mewar, a kingdom already under immense pressure. Internal division could be fatal. The senior nobles, the chieftains of Mewar, knew this. They recognized Pratap's qualities, his bravery, his leadership, his unwavering commitment to Mewar's independence. They saw in him the spirit of their ancestors, the spirit that had kept Mewar free for centuries. They believed he was the only one who could stand against Akbar, the mighty Mughal emperor. Their decision was crucial. The nobles made their choice. They bypassed Jagmal. They chose Pratap. It was a bold move, a necessary move. They approached Pratap. They offered him the throne, the crown of Mewar. It was not a crown of jewels and comfort. It was a crown of thorns, a crown of responsibility, a crown that meant a life of constant struggle. Pratap accepted, not for personal glory, but for his people, for his land, for the honor of Mewar. He knew the path ahead would be treacherous, but he was ready. His coronation was a simple, solemn affair. It reflected the grim reality of the times. There were no grand celebrations, only a quiet determination, a sacred vow. Pratap ascended the throne as Maharana Pratap Singh I. He was now the custodian of Mewar's legacy, the guardian of its freedom. The hopes of his people rested on his young shoulders. He pledged to reclaim Chittorgarh. He pledged to never bow before the Mughals. His reign had begun, and with it, a new chapter in Mewar's epic struggle for survival. The lion was ready to roar. Section 6. The unwavering vow, defiance against the mighty empire. Maharana Pratap inherited a kingdom in peril. The Mughal Empire, under Akbar, was at its zenith. Akbar was a shrewd ruler, a formidable military commander. He had a policy of consolidation. He invited Rajput kings to join his empire, offering them high positions, respect, and autonomy within their kingdoms. Many Rajput rulers accepted. They saw it as a practical solution, a way to preserve their lineage and their wealth. They became allies of the Mughals. But Pratap was different. He saw it as a compromise, a betrayal of his ancestors. Akbar sent several emissaries to Pratap. He offered peace, friendship, and alliances. Man Singh of Amba, a fellow Rajput and a powerful Mughal general, came. Raja Bhagwant Das came. Todar Mal, Akbar's finance minister, came. They tried to persuade Pratap to accept Mughal suzerainty to avoid bloodshed. They spoke of the benefits of peace and prosperity, but Pratap's resolve was like a mountain, immovable, unshakable. He listened politely, but his answer was always the same. No, Mewar would not submit. Pratap made a solemn vow, a vow that echoed through the Aravalli hills. He swore he would not sleep on a bed, would not eat from gold or silver plates, would not live in palaces until Chittorgarh was reclaimed, until Mewar was free from Mughal influence. This was not just a symbolic gesture, it was a way of life. He chose hardship, he chose austerity to remind himself and his people of their sacred duty, of their unfinished task. This vow inspired immense loyalty and respect. He began to gather his forces. He rallied the Rajput clans, still loyal to Mewar. He strengthened his alliance with the Bhil tribes. They were his eyes and ears in the mountains, his guerrilla fighters. He knew he couldn't match the Mughals in open battle, not in numbers, not in resources, but he had something the Mughals didn't, an unbreakable spirit, a deep love for his land and the advantage of the terrain. He prepared for a long, arduous war, a war of attrition, a war of defiance. He would fight for every inch of Mewar. He would make the Mughals pay for every step. Section 7. Haldighati's Fury, a battle of courage against odds. The year was 1576, June. The heat was scorching. The stage was set for one of the most iconic battles in Indian history, the Battle of Haldighati. Haldighati, the turmeric-coloured pass, named for its yellow soil. Here, Maharana Pratap and his small army would face the mighty Mughal forces, led by Man Singh of Amba, a Rajput fighting for the Mughals. This was more than a battle, it was a clash of ideologies, a clash of wills. Pratap, with around 3,000 horsemen and Bhil archers, against a Mughal army of perhaps 10,000 or more. The odds were daunting. The battle began with a ferocious charge. Pratap, mounted on his beloved horse Chetak, was everywhere, a whirlwind of valor. He fought like a lion, seeking out Man Singh, wanting to confront the man leading the Mughal forces against his homeland. His soldiers, inspired by his courage, fought with incredible bravery. The narrow pass of Haldighati initially favored the Mewari forces. They inflicted heavy casualties on the Mughals. The Bhil archers perched on the hillsides rained down arrows, creating chaos and confusion. For a moment it seemed the impossible might happen, but the Mughals had superior numbers and reserves. They slowly began to gain the upper hand. Pratap fought his way towards Man Singh, who was on an elephant. Chetak, loyal and brave, reared up, placing his hooves on the elephant's trunk. Pratap hurled his spear. It missed Man Singh, but killed the Mahout. In the fierce fighting, Pratap was wounded. Chetak was also grievously injured. His loyal commanders saw the danger. They knew Pratap's survival was crucial for Mewar's future. They urged him to leave the battlefield to fight another day. Reluctantly, Pratap retreated. One of his nobles, Jalaman, seized Pratap's royal insignia. He wore it himself, drawing the enemy's attention, sacrificing his own life to save his Maharana. Chetak, despite his fatal wounds, carried Pratap to safety, leaping across a wide stream before collapsing. His loyalty became legendary. The Battle of Haldighati was technically a victory for the Mughals. They occupied the pass, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. They failed to capture or kill Pratap. His spirit remained unbroken. His fight was far from over. The lion had retreated, but only to strike again. Section 8. The mountain lion guerrilla spirit in the Aravallis. After Haldighati, Pratap did not surrender. He did not despair. He retreated into the rugged Aravalli hills. This was his domain, his sanctuary. He knew these mountains like the back of his hand. The Mughals, with their heavy cavalry and large armies, were at a disadvantage here. Pratap adopted guerrilla warfare tactics, hit and run, ambush, surprise attacks. He became a phantom, a constant thorn in the side of the Mughal Empire. He and his loyal Bhil archers harassed Mughal supply lines, attacked isolated outposts, made their occupation of Mewar costly and uncomfortable. Life in the mountains was harsh, food was scarce, shelter was basic. Pratap and his family endured extreme hardships. They lived like nomads, moving from place to place, always vigilant, always ready to fight. There were times of near starvation, times of deep despair, but Pratap's resolve never wavered. His vow to reclaim Chittorgarh burned brightly. His example inspired his followers. They shared his hardships, they shared his determination. They believed in their leader, they believed in their cause, freedom for Mewar. Akbar poured immense resources into subduing Pratap. He sent expedition after expedition, but Pratap always eluded capture. He was too cunning, too resilient. The Aravallis were his fortress, the Bhils, his unwavering allies. He understood that he could not defeat the Mughals in a conventional war, so he changed the rules. He fought on his own terms. He made the terrain his weapon. He turned Mewar into a hornet's nest for the invaders. His resistance became a symbol of defiance for other Rajput states, for anyone who cherished freedom. Slowly but surely, Pratap began to reclaim parts of his kingdom. As Mughal attention shifted to other parts of their vast empire, Pratap seized the opportunity. He recaptured many forts and territories, except for Chittorgarh and Mandalgarh. His guerrilla tactics were effective. They wore down the enemy. They kept the spirit of resistance alive. He proved that even a small force, led by a determined leader, could challenge a mighty empire. He was the mountain lion, elusive, fierce, and fiercely protective of his domain. He never gave up hope. Section 9, Eternal Flame, the undying legacy of Maharana Pratap. Maharana Pratap continued his struggle until his last breath. He never set foot in Chittorgarh again as its master, but he reclaimed a significant portion of Mewar. He established a new capital at Shivand, deep in the mountains. From there, he continued to administer his kingdom and resist Mughal influence. In his final years, he ensured that the flame of independence he had so fiercely guarded would continue to burn. He made his son, Amar Singh, swear to continue the fight, to never submit to the Mughals. This was his dying wish. Pratap passed away in 1597 due to injuries sustained during a hunting accident. He was only 56 years old. But his life was a testament to extraordinary courage, unwavering resolve, and an unyielding love for his motherland. He did not achieve his ultimate goal of liberating Chittorgarh, but he achieved something far greater. He became an eternal symbol of resistance, a beacon of freedom. His name became synonymous with Rajput valor, with the refusal to compromise one's principles even in the face of overwhelming power. His legacy is not just in the forts he recaptured or the battles he fought, it is in the spirit he instilled in his people. The spirit of defiance, the spirit of self-respect. He showed that true victory is not always about winning battles, it is about never surrendering your soul. His story inspired generations of Indians during their own struggle for independence centuries later. He became a national hero, a symbol of fighting against oppression. His tales are sung, his statues are erected, his memory is revered. Maharana Pratap, the Lion of Mewar, his roar echoed through the Aravallis. It challenged an empire, it inspired a nation. He proved that one man's courage could make a difference, that principles are worth fighting for, worth dying for. His life was a relentless struggle, a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. Even today, his name evokes a sense of pride, a sense of awe. He remains an immortal icon, a reminder that freedom is precious and must always be defended. His flame burns bright, eternal, unforgettable.